Well, turns out Greatsword hits really hard. I mean, really hard. That heavy attack spam when you're in onslaught stance is no joke, and it can really tear people down. The downside to it, I think, is that it's very high risk, high reward. If you go into onslaught stance, you yourself are going to get hit very hard as well. And yeah, so it's been an interesting weapon to learn to use in that regard, but the more I play it, the more I am enjoying it. And there you see that 5.1k heavy attack as he enters onslaught stance as well. Just massive damage from those heavies, and they're so fast as well. So yeah, I've been playing this build a little bit on the live server. Initially with the Greatsword, I really liked Greatsword Rapier, but I found that on live, due to a lot of people actually using ranged weapons, Greatsword Rapier didn't feel as good as something like Greatsword Hatchet does, where you have a bit of a ranged option. That being said, I don't think Hatchet is the best ranged weapon offensively in the game, even though I got to pick up that cheeky little Hatchet kill there. But I do think that it offers excellent defensive utility, and this mixed with Greatsword allows you to kind of take advantage of that high risk, high reward playstyle, because if you get dropped really heavily on your Greatsword bar, you have the undeath on your Hatchet bar to keep you alive just from that swap. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this PvP commentary on my Greatsword Hatchet build. I'll have a little rundown of the build at the end of the video for you guys too, if you want to check out what gear I'm using. And of course, I'll be sharing a full build video for you guys as soon as possible as well. So I've been chased around a bit by these red players there, managed to pick off 2 of them already, and now I've got these 3 on top of me, and I go for the bit of movement with the Hatchet social distance throw, and then I'm caught with my stamina down. Normally a really bad situation, but thanks to that steadfast strike, I'm able to very quickly gain 40 stamina from using the skill, and I'm able to reposition myself, just kind of alleviate a bit of the range damage, and these guys all pile up in front of me. I go for the relentless slash through everybody, huge damage on it, and then another 5.1k heavy to finish that guy off. A beautiful attack on the counter there. I managed to get the stagger on both players, and then just around the corner, I hold that heavy, and there it is again. And just, wow, the burst from those heavy attacks. You can literally kill someone in light armor with 2 to 3 heavy attacks on a setup like this. It's absolutely crazy. And one of the players ends up respawning and coming back out, and I just keep up my aggression here. He ends up throwing a lot of slashes down. I do get hit by one of them, which slows me down a little bit, but I have the counter strike there ready. I managed to get some decent damage into him, and there's a nice little swap to the Hatchet, and I start feeding him the Hatchet throws here. And then I take a shot from behind there. The archer has actually jumped down the other side. So I just, again, get to some cover and just be a little bit patient. I managed to bait out that attack from the archer, and he ends up coming within melee range while I start putting damage into this guy. I try to go for the slash through, unfortunately stunned by the spear player, but oh my gosh, dude, he tries to block those heavy attacks. The Greatsword does an intense amount of heavy attack damage. And not only that, but that heavy attack has a crazy good amount of tracking. It really sticks to people when you wind it up. And there you see, I managed to poke him while he's trying to run away with the steadfast strike right away into the counter to absorb his incoming counter stun. And that's that, guys. Great fight on the Greatsword. Honestly, that's one of the best fights I have had yet with this build and with the Greatsword. So thoroughly enjoyed that one. Moving on to the next clip here. Again, I'm in the enemy base in OPR and trying to destroy their spawn. And these 2 end up jumping on top of me. I go for the steadfast strike. Unfortunately, don't get the stagger. That's a big weakness I find of a move like steadfast strike and even the calamity counter, because they do rely pretty heavily on using staggers to slow people down. And yeah, someone with grit like that can be pretty tricky to time those combos. Either way, I do manage to peel out to the side here, and now me and the Pumpkinhead Greatsword player here are just gonna slash back and forth. I do get a good counter on his incoming slash there. He goes for another combo, and I managed to dodge it and land the heavy, and the relentless rush through him. That's over 5k damage on that guy. And then I end up running inside, finishing off the spawn, and just waiting for more enemy players to show up. A friendly player does come to help me out here a little bit as well, but he's just kind of up top shooting arrows at people. So I'm left in the middle to try to defend here. I try to go for the steadfast strike in there. Unfortunately, you don't have grit when you use it, so I do get caught by his spear stun, but that's okay. Quickly heal up. And then I get caught at just the end of the gravity well. I roll back through the player, forcing him to turn around, and there's a great connection on the social distance throw in order to slow him down with the immobilize and allow me to escape very low HP. And I managed to get back behind some terrain again, staying on my hatchet bar in case I do get KO'd. It will save me from death. And I do interrupt that rapier player with the steadfast strike as he tries to flesh away. That's a nice little counter to rapier players, I find. Not only that, but rapier players, when they use riposte, you just hold that heavy attack, and riposte has a much larger punish window now too. So yeah, I'm kind of enjoying learning to play the Greatsword against those kinds of weapons. I think something else I do want to mention about riposte as well is that if you do get riposted while swinging a heavy attack with the Greatsword, you can actually dodge the riposte in time. You're not locked in that animation. Either way, I get back inside here. There's one big slam on that guy. He's low HP, 4k heavy attack to the back of the head. And a little bit of a weird bug there is I end up just teleporting through the stairs instead of being up top and landing those moves. And here you see it, the rapier player goes for riposte. I end up holding the heavy, roll behind him, and he just rolls away in time. And he's very low on stamina here, and that's exactly what I want. If you catch somebody low on stamina with this kind of a build, they are dead. They're not going to survive. There it is again. This guy's low on stamina. Steadfast strike, backstab to finish him off. And then the mage player ends up retreating back to the friendlies, and this becomes a bit more of a Zerg fight. So we'll move on to the next clip. And a little bit more skirmishing at the enemy spawn here. You can see, I think this is later in the same OPR actually, my team has pushed a little bit further up, and I try to push all the way into the back end. I take a lot of punishment from these guys. Fortunately though, I don't end up getting KO'd, so the Hatchet passive doesn't go off cooldown there, so I still have that save if I need it. And there's an unfortunate exchange as he goes for the kick. That's going to go through the grit on my heavy attack, so he ends up winning that exchange there. And then this is funny. So I just start channeling the heavy attacks while holding block in between to cancel them. And that basically just keeps my block up the whole time, but people don't know when I'm going to let go of the heavy. I actually get a good trade with that player that comes in with the hatchet. And then excellent damage with the heavies on this guy. He just gets out of the way in time, and he's just out of tracking distance as I was in the defiant stance there, so I didn't get the increased speed on the heavy to catch him with that. And now I'm just getting kind of shot at by everybody. This build does not, again, do very well against ranged opponents, so you have to try to hug terrain as best as possible, or pull them close enough that you can actually trade with the hatchet. And there's a huge combo on the blunderbuss player. Again, don't let a Greatsword player catch you with no stamina. Here, this guy gets caught with no stam. He manages to escape initially with the bow move, then he switches back to the life staff to try to get the heal in time. That speed from the heavy to take him down. And there you go, guys. I've got one last clip here, and then we're going to do a quick rundown. And there you go, guys. I've got one last fight for you here, and I'm going to do a quick showcase of the build at the end of the video if you guys want to see what I was running. Keep in mind, I will be uploading a full build video of this bad boy for you guys in the future, and there's probably going to be a few changes to come. We'll see what happens. And I'll be making a written guide to that build on my website, pvpnewworld.com. I've got guides to my other builds there if you guys want to check it out. I do the New World Top 5 fights, so if you have an awesome fight that you want to see featured in the top 5, you can send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. And I'm streaming on Twitch again, Monday to Friday, starting around 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys want to catch that stream, be sure to swing by. And give me a follow on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with what's going on with me. The show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. It allows you to browse the web unrestricted and safe from attackers. There's a link down below if you guys want to get a deal on your first purchase. And of course, a massive thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon for supporting the show. Thank you guys so much for keeping the show going. Thank you everybody just for tuning in and watching today. As always, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked the build, and I hope you're looking forward to more in the very near future. Have a great night, everybody, and I'll see you next time.